Yeah, it's been long overdue, so we're going to give it a go if we remember how to do it properly. Okay, we should get started then, I suppose. First of all, this particular tutorial is going to show you how to ensure that all your weapons go into different sockets, and this is mainly because when I was setting mine up, I had an issue where trying to put everything in the right hand socket in one socket just didn't work for IronBelly stuff, especially as you're aiming down sights a lot of the time, and the animations and where it actually ends up on the sights and how to hold a gun just doesn't line up using one socket. So just going to put a small system in to allow you to customize every socket with per gun, which I found it a lot easier to work with and to use. Yes, yeah, 4.14 is given a lot of people a lot of issues at the moment, so we're still sticking on the 4.13. Okay, so first of all, let's dip into our content browser, and we're going to set up the different sockets per gun. So we're going to go into our blueprint logic, into our weapons, and we're going to go into our base weapon BP. And open this up. Now I'm doing this from memory, so bear with me because it may take a little while to find stuff. Attach to owner arms. Just search that. Let's open that function up. In here, you'll see towards the middle, we get our mesh and we attach it to our third person and our first person arms. As you can see here, they both use the same right hand socket. Now, there are two ways you can do this. We can either create a socket and get it from the blueprint itself, or we can create an array in here, and we can manually put in the socket names, which is something I've done. Let's give that a try. Holly, pause the video a sec. Sorry, mate. Okay, so I did just try something while we weren't recording then, just to make sure it actually worked. There's a bit of a nope. There's a bit of a simpler way to do this. And basically, all we're going to do is just create a variable in here. We're going to create two for your third person socket and your first person socket, and you'll be able to customize that on each weapon just by inputting the field. And we'll show you how to do that right now. So come down to your variables. All we're going to do is add a new variable, and we're going to call this 3p socket, and we'll add another one, and we call that 1p socket. Obviously, make sure the variable type up here is a name, and we're just going to put that in its own category called my sockets. And if we come back down to the 3p socket, we're just going to put that in there as well. Now what we need to do is make it editable, so we can edit these variables on all of the child classes, child blueprints, you'll say. Just going to give that a quick compile first. Okay, now in the actual blueprint itself, what we want to do is we're just going to break the links to that, and we're still going to keep it there just in case we need to refer back to it or use it at a later date. So I like to keep it there until I'm 100% certain that everything works as it should do, because not all the time it does. And we're going to drag out our 3p socket. I'm going to do a get, connect this back up to our third person stuff, and our one person socket. Do a get again, stick those two together, and join that back up to where our first person is. Now, let's just do a quick test on this. So adding this in would have changed the rifle blueprint. Now, I'm pretty sure we're just going to do a refresh on the compile of it. Now, if we come down towards the bottom, it should give you a new little section there, my sockets. So your 3P socket for the standard rifle that you spawn with, first of all, you can see that both of the socket names are set to none. We don't have a none socket on our skeleton at the moment, so theoretically we should spawn with no weapon in the hands, and if we switch to third person, we should have no weapon in the hands of the third person as well. So let's just give that a try and make sure that's working correctly.
5,
I'll let Halty
4,
take over because
3,
I can't actually control in-game.
1. Bang, 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 bang.
So as you can see, you've got no weapon in the hand. And if we go to our third person as well, we shouldn't have any weapon. No, that's it. It's stuck itself straight on the root bone and it's along the floor, which is great. That means it's working as it should be for now. Brilliant. And obviously, just to test that these particular sockets are getting passed through, our default socket name is right hand, and I believe it's called right hand as well on the third person. It'll probably tell me that it's wrong now. But we've put those in. It should find the sockets and place the weapons as it
5,
should
4,
be doing as
3,
default.
2,
Let's have a look.
1. Bang.
There
bang.
we go. We've got it in the hand and in the third person. In the third person as well. So that's working correctly. As you saw, he switched to the pistol. We haven't set a socket name in the pistol blueprint yet. It's still set as a standard none. That's why we didn't see any gun in his hand for that. Not yet. We will do by the end of the video. Okay, so let's get moving on to the IronBelly stuff now. Let's just save everything. Now, IronBelly normally come with 2 folders. Your first folder is your first person IronBelly. Not everything is relevant in here, apart from if we go in the arms and the animations. So this is all your animations per weapon. And what we need to do is we need to go along and select all of the animations, not the montages. And we need to retarget them to our generic shooter skeleton. Now, just before I do that, what I am going to do is go into our generic shooter, just to keep everything neat and tidy. We're going to add a new folder. I'm going to call them custom anims, just so we know we've got somewhere nice to put them. So let's go back into our arms, animations, select all of our animations. Yeah. Right click and no, this is wrong. I forgot one vital step. First of all, we need to set our skeletons up so they retarget. Because without doing this, they're not going to see each other. So what we're going to do is load up our first person arm skeleton. Hold his computer decides to start working. Give it an hour. We might cut this bit out if it takes too long. Okay, so we've both made a cup of coffee and left the computer to do what he needed to do. We will donate. We will put up a crowdfunding for Holty's PC after the video. So please do donate to that because he needs a dire upgrade. Hey, Holty. Okay, so we're opening out first person arms skeleton, which is our default IronBelly first person arms. And what we need to do is go to the retarget manager. By default, it should look like this, unless you've already played around with it. All we want to do is select a rig. There's no rig to get up, so we want to select a humanoid rig. Now, there's nothing really too special in this. And I have tried it before. I mean, we might as well try it again while we're on the video and see if it works. If I close this a second, we come down here. There is a weapon mount bone. Now, this particular bone for IronBelly was created so you can attach the weapon socket to the weapon mount bone, and it perfectly aligns it without having to touch anything. It perfectly aligns the socket and the weapons to the hands exactly how they designed it to. I tried this in my project, and the weapon mount button, although it was retargeted, it didn't follow the animation and stuff like that, which means you have to manually do it. But for the purposes of the tutorial, we're going to give it a try anyway and see if it does work. And all good if it does. So select our humanoid rig. Then what we're going to do is do show advance, and that will show every bone and not just our standard bones. We don't need to worry about anything else because everything else should be straight up to the default skeleton. Come down to our first custom one, and we can set a bone in our first custom, at which point we're going to set the weapon mount, and we should be in the A pose, which is fine. We can just double check that by viewing pose, and it stays in the A pose. We're all good. So what we want to do is save that and exit that. Want to Control S just to save our skeleton. I'll come out of that. And we need to do the same process. Do we? Or don't we? Yes, we do. We need to do the same process for our generic shooter one as well. So that's characters. Nope, wrong. Characters, UE4, common, and our scale mannequin. That's our retarget manager. And show advance. And obviously we've got nothing in our custom. Maybe that's why. Because we're not retargeting the custom to another bone. Because we don't really have another bone that we can freely move around. No, not that I'm aware of. Let's just give this a go. No, we can't, in case people use arcades. Okay, we just select the human one. Make sure we're still in the A pose. Our default pose is in the A pose. Yeah, it is. That's fine. Exit that. Save that. We can quit that. So we will have to set them up manually, unless someone comes up with another solution on being able to retarget that particular special bone that IronBelly puts in. Then brilliant. Let us know in comments or afterwards, and we'll update it. So now we've got them both retargeted, we can go back to our first person arms, go into our animations, select all of our animations, not the montages, remember. Right click, retarget, anim asset. Blue is bad, not for copying. We're going to duplicate. We should now see our skeleton there. If we click retarget, it is just going to put it in the default folder. So make sure that if you have created a folder to put in, you select this first. So custom arm animations, click OK, and retarget. So now we should find in our folder, custom animations, all of our animations there retargeted to our skeleton. So we can just Control S and save all of them. Concerning the actual gun itself, we don't need to retarget, or do we? No, we don't need to retarget any of those because they're assigned to the AK47 and the AK47 skeleton. So we don't need to do anything with that. The only thing I would do, and this is just, it will annoy you after a while, is if we go into the physics asset, they are normally set to, oh, Holly, can you do the honors of moving the camera for us? Cheers. They're normally not set to be welded, and when you simulate, they go a little bit funny, as you can see, which is not really what you want in game. The quickest and easiest way I found to do this is if we exit this asset. What we do is come back to content browser, click on the mesh itself, create a new physics asset. We can set this to box, and we can set it to locked, and we can click OK. That will create a new physics asset if Holty moves it around. Now, what we can do here is the stuff that's inside this main box. I mean, you can get as detailed as you want. You can edit this as you like, but just for tutorial purposes and make it look a little bit better at the start, is we can just delete these physics assets because we don't actually need them. When we click on the constraints, just make sure everything's locked on your magazine joint as well. And then when we simulate now, it should kind of fall how you would normally expect a gun to fall in game. So that just makes it look a little bit better off the bat. So if you remember to do that, you won't be wondering after a while, why is my gun messing around on the floor like a wet fish? Yeah. Okay, so you've done that. You've now got 2 physics assets. It's a really easy thing. Sometimes UE will moan that this particular physics asset is still assigned to your mesh. So if you open up your mesh, you can check this by making sure that your new physics asset there is done. So old one actually says physics asset, new one just physics. So just make sure that we save that and close that, and we should be able to delete that one. It's because it's still referencing it in memory. We're forced to delete. It's fine. Reductories. Redirectors. Yeah. Or if you want, just be risky like me and force delete and then find out that it messes everything up in UE, because UE is like we won't go there, don't worry. Okay, so yeah, that's your weapon pretty much done for the moment. So probably the best place to go next is we're going to start creating the montages for your first person arms. Generic Shooter uses a system where you set each montage for your equipping, your firing, your reloading, holstering, and everything else. I had a big issue when I first started doing this. Is I would create my own custom montages and then put in all the animations I need to, assign them to the slots, as I'll show you in a minute, and it never worked properly. So I found the easiest way is to duplicate ones that are already existing and just change the animations in them. And it seems to work perfectly fine. Probably going to prove me wrong now, but it seems to work perfectly fine. I don't actually know where these animations are. Oh, they are in here. So all we're going to do is we're going to edit the rifle one. So if we go into animation, go into the first person, and we've got our reload montage only. So what we're going to do is we're going to duplicate that, and we're going to rename it real quick, and we're going to call it AM_AK47, something simple for now. And before we do anything else, what I should have done first of all is create a new folder and called this AK47. I say you can change the folders where they are and everything else yourself, but just for this, we're just going to keep everything in the one folder in the root directory, and we're going to call this montages. I'm sure we need more montages, but maybe I'm wrong. But we'll come to that when we need to. So what I'm going to do is grab our new montage, and we're going to move, don't copy, move it into there. Once it's in there, I'm doing the wrong ones, aren't I? That's why. Okay. See, I knew I'd make mistakes in this. Delete that because we don't need it, because that's the actual gun animation and not the arm animations, which is what we need. So bear with me. Let's go into our characters, go into our common, our animations, our one person animations, and our rifle animations. There we go. That looks a little bit better. So it's these montages, our arm montages that we need. Select them all, and we can duplicate them all. Before we save them, we can bring them into our custom arm anims and we can move them there. And we can just go through the very boring process of renaming these. I'm going to call this AK47. Yeah, so as you can see now, we've just renamed them montages just to suit the AK stuff. So equip, put down, reload, throw, and hip fire is your standard ones. Let's start with our equip. So as you can see, it's got the standard rifle equip in it. Just make sure. All right. So what we do is filter out, so we've got all of our AK stuff. Now, try not to delete this first because it will get rid of our default group upper body slot, which is a slot the IronBelly uses, which I'll show you in a bit anyway. So what we want to do is drag our new animation in and then delete our rifle one. So this is quite a simple process. Is that our equip is our raise. So what we're going to do is just drag that onto the same timeline. Once it's on there, select our rifle, our standard rifle equip, and delete. And we now have the new animation, keeping the slots and everything else. Got our new animation in there. Is enough. Click save. That's done. Go back to our content browser, and we just want to go through these montages. Same as this one. This is our put down, which is now our lower. And drag that in. Delete our other one. Personally, I don't particularly like how fast this is. We may edit it. You can edit it in the future. I have edited on my project. It comes down a bit too fast. So I think that I normally put that to sort of 0.7. It seems fast here, but he only does it once in game. So you don't want people to be able to put their gun down too slowly. Otherwise, I think it would just annoy a lot of people at a decent rate. So I use 0.7. Obviously, you're welcome to play with that exactly how you feel necessary. So that's the lower one done. Click save. Go back to our content browser. Our reload animation. Exactly the same process. Our reload, drag it in, delete that, save. Our throw. We just discussed this while the video was pulled as well. Al had done a brilliant job with the throw animation. Give him a round of applause for that one. Nope. But obviously, IronBelly doesn't provide a throw your weapon away. So easiest thing to do is use the lower one. Keep an eye on the seconds. We want to try and keep this roughly the same as in time wise. So if we drag our lower in, it's 0.673 roughly the length of this animation. Once we get rid of this, hang on, if I just delete that, the whole animation is just down here on the timeline. You see it says percentage and current time out of 0.673 seconds. So that's your time, how long your animation is. So we're going to keep that roughly the same. For some reason, I've had it before where it's caused slight issues when chucking a weapon on the floor. Sometimes if this is a lot shorter or a lot longer, it messes around with something somewhere and it just causes issues. Let's just cancel that autosave. Delete that. And we're at 0.47. Nah, that's close enough. Although, why is that? I deleted the wrong one, didn't I? That's better. I know what I'm doing wrong here. This is something you've also got to watch out for, and I'll just replicate this again for you. If you drag this in and you delete this animation, for some reason it doesn't refresh the animation segment up here. So as soon as you edit one of these values, it will put back in the animation on your little timeline there. So just like that, oh, it changes it. No idea why. Just watch out for that. You drag it in, delete it, and then re-click on the new animation, and it should refresh up there. So there we go. 0.7 works pretty well on the lower, about 6.9, which is fine. That's fine. Okay, let's move on. Our hip fire. Now, this is the main reason why I've duplicated the default montages, because this is the main issue that has given me a problem when I was creating my own montage and selecting these groups, and I was selecting your upper body and your ADS upper body, which is your two firing modes. It just wouldn't work. For love nor money could I get it working, even though I'd set it up exactly the same. But duplicating seemed to have worked. So exactly the same process. We have a fire and an ADS fire. Grab a fire. Delete our rifle. And we're going to drag our ADS fire in. And delete our rifle. So now we've got our fire animations. Click save. Okay, that's all done. Let's go to our first person blueprint. Our animation blueprint, shall I say, and let's see what we need to edit in that as well. So animations, and it's just in here. So common animations 1p AB player arms. So this is our not so very exciting animation blueprint. Obviously this uses our event graph, so this way where it grabs which weapons equipped, and it gets our ADS position and our animation type, which is set in our weapon blueprint. Go to our animation graph, and again, at the moment, it's not very exciting. This controls what animation is played when, and what you see on screen. So default, you got a rifle, it selects your rifle, and stores it in a cache. These are the slots I was talking about. So as you saw on the fire, you had an upper body and an ADS upper body, depending on your ADS position. So if you're aimed down sight, it will switch it to this blend pose, and it should fire from that slot. So whichever animation is in that slot, it will fire from. That's where the big issue was when I was creating my own montages. It just wasn't choosing the correct slots and blah, 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 blah. But it should do now. So as we're now assigning different animations and sockets and whatnots for our weapons to get complete customization, we need to add a new current weapon animation type, which is in our e-weapon. I don't know what they're called. We'll find that out in a minute. We need to add another one so we can add our AK animations in there. Because if we change this rifle, anything on the default rifle, so standard with generic shooter, you've got your rifle, you've got your super rifle. I think your super rifle is like a shotgun equivalent and stuff like that. They all share the same animation. Now you're going to be putting IronBelly in, you want to be able to have different animations, obviously, for every single different weapon, which is kind of a standard. So let's find where these variables are stored, and let's get a new one put in here. Let's just minimize that a second. We should find them in generic shooter, blueprint, blueprint logic, and in our weapons. And we should find our weapon animation, and they are called a struct. Silly me. Why did I forget that? I do not know. And an animation type. No, see, I'm getting myself confused now. There we go. So leave the struct alone. Don't touch that one. We don't need to touch that. Let's enumerator. That's the one. Let's open up this one. You see we've got our rifle and our pistol, and all we're going to do is going to add a new one. I'm going to call this AK47. Obviously, every new gun you add, you're going to have to add another line to this. Now you've saved that. If we open up our weapon, which we haven't created yet, so we'll do that in a minute. Go on here. If you go to this, you should now see, if you right click in an empty space, it says add pin for a AK47. So before we do that, what we're going to do is we're just going to drag that down slightly, give that a little bit more room. So we're going to add both of our pins, AK47, and again on the bottom one, AK47, is as I explained before. The reason why there's two is because one is your default and the second one is your ADS animation. So what we want to do is go to our asset browser over here and no, wrong way. There we go. Filter out all of our AK animations. Now what we want is both of our idles. So our standard idle will be our top one. And we're just going to plug that into there. And we want our ADS idle. Drag that in. And we want to plug that into there. So when we've got our AK equipped, our standard idle, it's going to be choosing this animation. And when we go to ADS, it's going to go to this idle and this animation. Compile, save that. Now, that's all we need for that for the moment. Now, what we want to do is we want to create our weapon. So, let's go. Let's sort it out. Let's go to our, where's weapons? Weapons, common. There's two ways of doing this. You can either go into the blueprint and create a child blueprint off of the instant hit, or it does pretty much the same thing. Is we can come to our standard rifle, which we use. We can right click and we can duplicate and just rename it AK47. And we want to drag that into our AK47 folder. So we're going to move that to there. Let's open this up. I've also found a bug, and it's really, really sporadic. It doesn't happen all the time. But if you edit a blueprint, a child blueprint in this mode, sometimes it doesn't save. Sometimes you think it's saved, and when you reopen your editor, it hasn't, and it's just completely gone skew-if. So I tend to open the full blueprint editor. Difference is that you can add new stuff in if you want, but for now we don't need any of that anyhow. It's more these values that we really want. Just open it just to be on the safe side, because since started opening all of my child blueprints like this, I haven't had any issues. So okay. Obviously, you've got your normal configurations or your hit damage. We're not going to change any of that. We're not going to change any of it at all. I believe, anyway. So you want to change the name. AK47. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to come down to the animation, and we're just going to start selecting our animations. So the third person stuff, for now, we haven't done, and we're going to leave it for the moment because this is more to do with the first person. You basically just duplicate the whole process for the third person. The only difference is that obviously you can't use the third person, your first person animations with your third person, because he holds his shoulders up all different and whatnot. So third person animations is something you'd have to either source yourself, or there's a little workaround, which I'll bring another video about for a later date, that I've used for the time being that will get you by. But we'll have a look at that another time. But so just concentrating on the first person stuff now. All we need to do is just change our animations for these. So let's we do it like this just to make sure that we're going to get exactly the right animations that we need. So our first person animation, our reload montage. So if you remember rightly, we put that. Where did we put that, Holly? In a folder. That sounds great. Not in our montages folder. We put them in our characters. Did we put them in our characters? No, where did we put them, Holty? Where did we put... There we are. Look, we're just being stupid. It's like it's getting late for us. There we are. So I custom one of us. I'm normally in bed by 9. So remember where you put your montages and find them. So we want our reload montage. Let's go back to this, and we want our 1p pawn. And we're going to select that. Our weapon reload montage is going to be, because we haven't changed anything, in our standard folder, our weapons, animations, and our reload montage. So that controls nothing other than the mag coming out of the gun, going back in, and the cocking. That is all it does. No arm related to that. That's purely just the weapon moving and everything else. So we're all good. We don't want a looped fire animation. That looks really weird. I wouldn't recommend clicking that button at all, ever. Yeah. Fire, just same process. Just literally follow the same process. So let's go into here, and we're going to go into our hip fire for our pawn. We go hip fire. Our weapon animation. Go back to our weapons, and we have a standard fire. Put that one in there. Our equips, obviously, we're attaching the weapons, the equip, holster, and throw. Unless you're doing something really special with a gun as you throw it or as you equip it or whatnot, we can just leave them blank because, like most other games, he just brings it up. And because we're attaching the weapon to the socket in the hand, it comes up with that animation as well. So we don't need to worry about weapon animations for our equip, holster, and throw. So just change our 1p ones. So everything else can be done now from here. So we want our equip in there. Don't need to worry about any of these offsets. We'll change the animation type in a second. Our holster, which we have put as put down for some reason. I've named it as put down. And our throw is throw. Okay, our animation type, if you remember rightly, we need to select our AK47. Otherwise, through the NMBP of our arms, if we leave it as a rifle or a pistol, it constantly try and play the idle of the other animations, which we don't want. So AK47, compile and save that. Now there is one thing we haven't done yet, is we've still got our standard gun. So easy enough, click our 3P mesh, and we're going to choose our ARK. And we're going to choose our own blueprint. Just like that. And just duplicate that again to our first person stuff as well. Why am I missing it? Well, there we go. Yeah. Okay, so just trying to shoot a dog out so we don't have all that barking in the background. So what we need to do now, just one last thing we need to set before we can move on, is we need to set our sockets. Now, again, with the third person socket, sometimes you can get away with using the same socket, and sometimes you can't. Now, IronBelly stuff, sometimes they run on a different axis. I've noticed some weapons do, some weapons don't. I just prefer to create a new socket every time I create a new gun. You're able to get a lot more precision on the way it looks in hand across all of your different guns, I find anyway. Someone might have a better solution. Someone might want to try and share sockets between guns and whatnot. That's completely up to you. You've now got the option to put it in any socket you want. But for the purpose of this, I'm going to create 2 different sockets for the AK. And all I'm going to do is name this one 3P AK47 and 1P AK47. Compile that and save that. For now, we'll leave it open for now. Now what we want to do is find our standard generic shooter skeleton, which should be in characters, U for common, and open up our skeleton. So this is our skeleton guy. Now just to get it a little bit, make it easier obviously to line the weapons up, we are going to first of all get our AK idle. So where are we? Get our AK idle, and we're just going to pause that a second. Okay. Now we can create the sockets in the hand. Obviously, you want to keep it in the right hand because that's where most of your animations on the arms come from. So make sure that we keep it in the right hand. Select the right hand, right click, and we want to add a socket. And we'll create 2. Our first one was called 3P AK47. We're going to do that one on a different animation in a minute, which I'll show you. But just create it. And we're going to add another socket called our 1P AK47. So our 1P, because we're using our 1P animation, we've loaded that up. We want to put the weapon in there and line it up as best as we can for now. Until you get in game, you're not going to be able to really make the fine tweaks, but let's just get it roughly where we need it for the time being. So we're going to right click that. I'm going to add a preview mesh. And we're going to select our AK. Now, that's what happens when you put IronBelly stuff in a default socket. It happens. So, Holly, if you don't mind getting me a little bit side onto this, because you're going to have to be a little bit of help here to try and get this gun lined up. As you can see, it's always tilted, first of all. This initial process of just trying to get it in the hand, you want to deselect these. Otherwise, they really mess about with stuff. It really is just a small guessing process until you get it more or less where you need it to. Come up so slightly. I try and holy easy. I normally try and get it sitting in the hand, although this is quite difficult over TeamViewer, if I'm completely honest with you, as best as I can to start off with. Over slightly. Let's just get rid of this quickly, if it'll let me. It's over here. So it takes a little bit of fiddling around with, first of all, just to try and get stuff lined up as it should be, but it's all part of the fun, isn't it? I think. No, it's not, is it? I didn't think so. No, I don't think it is. Now, this is really difficult on TeamViewer. Let's have a look how that looks. That looks pretty awful to me, so it'll work. So, probably way off, but we'll leave it at that for now, just for the tutorial. Obviously, we'll see in game how off it is and where we need to adjust it. Yes. I think you can also use your scroll wheel in the middle as well. Yeah. No, if you hold your right click as if you're going to move around, and then you scroll wheel as you're moving around, it edits the speed of the camera as well. So if you, yeah, so you can do that as well. Okay, so that one's done. Let's just Control S that, save all of that. Now we want to delete this because we're done with that for now. And we want to change our animation so we can set up our third person stuff. Which, if I find, it should be probably gone past it already. Ugh, let's just do this. Idle. And it's out. Hip idle. If you don't have any other. Whoa, what happened there? Oh, we saw it happen. There we go. Okay, so all we need to do now is we've created our socket already. It's exactly the same process. Obviously, we don't need to be as fine with this because no one really sees with much detail what the third person stuff is looking like, as long as it's kind of looking, you know, thereabouts. Again, completely up to you how detailed you go with this. I mean, I've personally changed all of these animations myself and put different ones in, which you'll probably do and have to line back up again at some point. So let's have a look at this. Let's just get it in there roughly. Yeah, let's just make it sit there for now. That'll do. Okay, so we've got our sockets in place. We've edited our animation blueprint. We've created our montages. We've edited our blueprint. I mean, I'm probably forgetting lots and lots and lots of stuff right now, but I suppose we can give it a try. It's out here a second though. I don't want it to go anywhere specific. Oh, there. All I'm gonna do is just drag one on the floor. There we go. Let's pick it up and see what happens.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
I've probably forgot something. The mag's hanging out again. But there you go. Weapons in. As you can see, it's
Bang, bang, bang.
it's not bad for
Bang,
over
bang,
team view.
bang.
There is something we forgot to do. We forgot to add our muzzle flash socket
Bang,
to the gun.
bang.
We'll do
Nope,
that
nope,
after.
nope, nope.
That's not a problem. Our reload's working third person. And our third person animation is in a pose. What have we done wrong?
Bang, 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 bang.
Oh, I know what we've done wrong. Or do I? Yes, I do. Okay. I know what we've done wrong, and I'll show you. Well, not that we've done wrong, just something that we need to play around with. Now, obviously, we've added a new enumerator. That's the word I'm looking for. And if we go into our common animations, we go in our third person blueprint. On our animation graph, our third person, if I remember rightly, in our anim graph, if we zoom out of that, we don't need to worry about this stuff. If we go into our state machine, our jog, no, where is it? I'm pretty certain it uses the enumerator somewhere. Maybe not. Oh, it does. So it uses the enumerator to get our poses. So there is two ways you can do this. If you've got your own custom animations, so say you've got your own third-person custom animations for each particular weapon, you can set up your aim offsets for per weapon and just basically duplicate this and create it per weapon. But we don't have those for the moment. So all we're going to do for now is we're going to copy our rifle, because that's the stuff that we're using. So all we're going to do is we're going to copy this and we're going to paste it down here. And this is not, I've never tried this before, but I don't see any reason why it shouldn't work. And we're going to just copy our rifle. One. We should be able to test this in here. And drop this down to the AK. We don't no longer go in an A pose, and we should be able to move around and aim with our gun. Yep, so that's fine. So we should be fine there. Okay. I knew I'd forget something. Let's click play again.
5,
Let's give that another try.
4, 3, 2, 1.
You need to pick up the gun. Okay, so as you can see now, we're not in an A pose. We're running around as per normal.
Bang, 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 bang.
Is he not going into ADS? Oh, he is. He is. That's fine. Yeah, obviously, what I would do is for the ADS to get that perfectly lined up. Obviously, it's a lot of tweaking, just a little bit of moving around and up and down and whatnot. When you ADS standard, it gets rid of the crosshair. In the debug, if you put always show crosshair, which I'll show you in a minute on the blueprint, if you come into the blueprint, it's up here on the debug, always show crosshair. Now, when you play,
5.
even when you
4,
ADS, you should get your
3,
crosshair. So
2,
I've obviously aligned my guns
1.
up. So that center dot is where the iron sight goes to, and you know that your aim is bang on.
Bang,
There
bang,
you go.
bang, bang.
So I'll leave the lining up process to you, as you already know how to do that now. The only last thing that we're going to do is you're going to get that muzzle flash actually working. So all we need to do is go into our content browser. Let's go to our weapon. We need to go into the skeleton of our weapon. And there should be a muzzle joint. You can rename this if you like, which is probably the easiest thing to do. So I believe the default is just called muzzle flash. Click enter and save the skeleton. Let's see if it's firing.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Yes.
Bang, 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 bang.
So, in a nutshell, I don't think I've left anything major out. That's how you put IronBelly weapons into generic shooter. Is it the best way? Obviously, the standard properties there, all of your customization, your audio and stuff like that, you are going to have to do yourself. If you want custom effects, you're going to have to set them yourself. But essentially, the weapon's in. It's working third person and first person. With your custom slot for your animations and your going completely off track now.
5, 4, 3.
The only other
2,
thing that
1.
I will show you real quick is there are walk-in animations, normal walk and run animations. Now, run is a completely different process because you need to code in your sprint, which generic shooter doesn't support out of the box. Possibly I'll do another video because it's not difficult to put in the sprint function, depending on how you want to set it up. Maybe that will come in another video at some point, but I'll show you just a really quick, easy way to put in so when you're walking, you get a bit of a sway on the gun just to make it look a little bit nicer, purely because IronBelly provide the animation. So why not put them in there? So let's go quickly back to our. We want our first person AB player arm. So generic shooter characters, common animations, blah 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 blah. Let's go into our arms. Now, what we want to do is go into our event graph. And we want to create a new variable in here. And we're going to call it is walking. Okay, all right, let's just move this stuff up here real quick. Now, what we want to do is we want to get our movement. I am doing this off of memory, so please bear with me. Get character movement. And we want to get velocity. Is it velocity? Get velocity. I think this is probably wrong, and I'm probably going to redo it. No, it is wrong, and I am going to redo it. So give me 2 seconds, because I can't remember where it is, what it is now. Oh, you might as well do the honors there, mate. Sorry about that. I had a bit of a brain fart. I was right in getting our velocity shot over. I just can't remember the next part, which is we need to get our vector. And it is just called vector. Here we go. So this is our moving forward. If we are moving at all, we want to be able to do something. So on this occasion, we are going to say if we are moving. I mean, again, this is completely up to you on what you set this to, but I'm going to put it to 10. So if we're moving pretty much at all, we're going to set our is walking variable. So we're going to do a set. And what we want to do is we actually want to create a branch off of this. So let's just drag this up here for now. We can set it. No, we don't want to set it. Yeah, we can. It's not going to make any difference. I'm going to set our branch up here. I'm going to follow this. So all we're going to do is we're going to say if our character is moving any more than 10 units, if it's true, we're going to set our is walking to true. And if it's false, we're going to set it to false. Now, an IronBP, as you can see, it constantly fires. So this will constantly update depending on this condition here. So it'll nicely set this yes and no, yes and no, yes and no. So that's set. Let's go back into our anim graph. Now, here is where we just need to do a little bit more tweaking. So we need to create another little section of this that basically says, you know, if we're walking, we now want to play a different set of animations. If we're walking and if we're ADS, we want to play another set of animations. But if we're not walking at all, we want to just go back to our idle pose. Might sound complicated to some to start off with, but it's really not too difficult at all. So all we're going to do is we are going to copy one of these just to make it a little bit easier, and up in an empty space, we're going to paste it. Now, go back to our assets. Let's just get these. So our first one we're going to set up here, and the only one we need to change is the AK one, remember. So let's just delete that. Is our normal walk. This is going to be our animation. So if we just normal walking around, not ADS, just normal walk. So we're going to bring up our walk animation, and we're going to plug it in. Let's do that one more time here. And this is going to be our ADS. So again, let's just delete our bottom one, and we have an ADS walk up here. I'm going to drag this one in here and plug this into here. So this is where we now need to change this around ever so slightly. Is copy, not copy. I do apologize. We're just going to move that to there. Now we need to create a node that says blend by bool. Blend poses by bool. And obviously we've just created our bool. So we're going to drag our is walking into there. Pretty simple. So are we walking? Yes, we're going to go up here. And if we're not, we're going to go back to our idle pose, which is down here. Please do remember to put this back into your cache pose, otherwise it will not work at all. Yeah, I've done that a couple of times. As soon as you compile, actually, I'll just show you real quick. As soon as you compile, it's just going to go into an A pose, and you're going to be like, what the hell have I done? Why is it not working? Blah, 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 blah. So just make sure that you are connecting everything up properly. Anyway, again, we can, just for speed, we can just copy this blend here and paste it up here. Our ADS position, if it's 1, it goes to B, and that is how how it's been set up. 0 and 1. So this is our normal walk, which is set up, and this is our ADS walk that we set up. That's fine. And drag this into our true pose. So again, you can expand this as many ways as you want in the future, but you get the gist of it. If our ball is false, it uses this set. It only changes on our ADS position. And if we're walking, our ball is true, it uses this set of animations. And it all filters down, pass through to there. Okay, so let's give this a try. And it's playing our rifle. Obviously, this is the third person. Hang on. It's just because you're going to be like, what the hell's gone on with the weapon? You've broke it completely. No, we haven't. There we go. Let's just get rid of that because it was using the third person one. So there you go. And then when we stop, you can see it goes back to the idle. If we change our ADS position to 1, so it brings our gun up, and we go walking, he gets a slight arm movement that you don't see in first person. But you get that slight wobble on your ADS as well. Let's just save that. Let's not close it in case we have done something wrong. And let's have a look and see whether that's worked properly.
3, 2, 1.
So you can see you've got slight movement now when you're moving around on the gun. You've got that nice fluid moment that IronBelly so nicely provides. And you get a nice movement when you're on the ADS as well. So that's both working as intended to. I think that's it, isn't it? Awesome. So weapons in, your animations are retargeted. Obviously, you're welcome to move all of the weapons and the folders around as you please. Just remember that you should be naming your sockets and creating your sockets. Otherwise, you'll be empty-handed and things won't work. Yeah, do that. If there's any questions, obviously message us through Slack or however means that we provide. I don't know what that's going to be. Ask Allah. Ask Allah. He'll help you. Obviously, for other weapons, just duplicate the whole process again. Apart from editing the base blueprint weapon, just create another child BP of your AK. Go duplicate it and rename it, and just follow the whole process again. And you should be good to go. And also saying that if you think I've done something a bit weird and there's a shorter way or a better way of doing stuff, then let me know as well. Obviously, we'll update it and make everyone aware there is a better way to do things.